The room was unusually calm for a company losing money that quickly. No raised voices, no visible panic, just spreadsheets glowing softly across a polished table. Someone said, "We don't need to become something else. We just need to get back to who we were." Heads nodded. After all, the company had once dominated its market. The decline felt temporary, almost disrespectful. So the mandate became simple: stabilize, repair, return. Not one person asked the quieter question. What if the version of the company they were trying to save was the very thing pulling it under? Because nothing looks more responsible than trying to restore what once worked. Turnarounds often begin with intelligent restraint. Leaders avoid dramatic moves. They protect institutional knowledge. They preserve culture. Reinvention feels theatrical. Reckless restoration feels mature. So they study past victories, reinstall familiar processes, reintroduce what once worked. And slowly, confidence returns. But something else returns with it: assumptions, unquestioned habits, invisible loyalties, ways of thinking shaped by a market that no longer exists. The organization wants a different future, but only if it arrives without requiring anyone to become different. Notice the language shift. Not "what must we abandon," but "how do we get back?" Not "who do we need now?" but "who understands how we used to win?" Even failure is interpreted generously. Temporary, external, correctable, never structural. The problem isn't competence. Turnaround teams are often analytical and experienced, but they spend enormous energy defending psychological continuity. They protect identity, and once threatened, identity becomes irrationally expensive to maintain. Outdated divisions survive 3 reorganizations. Legacy products absorb fresh capital. Decision rights remain with yesterday's experts. Meetings grow longer. Agreement becomes easier, but action becomes harder. Dashboards improve, announcements multiply, but the market remains unmoved. Employees sense hesitation first. High agency operators leave quietly. Those who stay learn a lesson. Adaptation is praised rhetorically, but punished operationally. So creativity narrows, risk tolerance collapses. The organization begins behaving like a museum curator, preserving artifacts, while the outside world accelerates. Eventually, something subtle happens. The turnaround stops being about the future. It becomes an elaborate defense of the past. Reinvention is not structural first. It's identity-based, and identity rearranges power, relevance, and expertise. That's where resistance truly lives. Most turnarounds fail quietly. Not from poor analysis, not from lack of effort, but from partial courage. Change enough to appear modern, but not enough to destabilize internal legitimacy. And markets do not reward intention. They respond to unmistakable direction. You cannot operate tomorrow's enterprise with yesterday's psychological contract. Restoration feels respectful. Reinvention feels violent, but only one separates you from the conditions that cause the decline. Turnarounds fail when continuity is treated as a virtue. What must survive is not memory, but the capacity to become unfamiliar to yourself. Most companies are not destroyed by disruption. They are suffocated by devotion to a former version of their own competence. And by the time that becomes obvious, reinvention no longer feels like a choice. It feels like an obituary written in installments. Professional decline is rarely dramatic. It is negotiated quietly through reasonable decisions that preserve credibility while eroding relevance. This channel exists for those who prefer uncomfortable recognition over reassuring narratives. Subscribing is less about receiving content and more about declaring the level of professional honesty you expect from your own thinking. The strategy lens.